Hi, I create this video so that it helps young finance professionals like you to get started on your FP&A journey. A lot of time I get this question. I have an interview coming up in the next 2 or 3 days. Could you please get on a phone call with me so that I can ask you some questions so that it helps in my interview preparation? And most times, because it's a weekday, I am not able to respond to those requests. My objective of recording this is to share this video whenever next time someone asks me for my advice on how to prepare for your FP&A interviews. Alright, so let's get into it. First and foremost, I would suggest that you thoroughly understand the business model of the company, how the company makes money, what are the products or the services that the company offers, understand how the company makes money through their services and product, what the industry situation is, and who are the key competition of the company. I would highly recommend that you create a business canvas model so that you understand which are the different stakeholders in the business and how they interact with each other to create value for the customer. I will create a separate video on how to do a business model canvas and put a link in the description below. The second step is to thoroughly study the financial statements of the company. If it is a listed or a public company, then it will be very easy for you to get the financial statements from the company's website or the investor relations section. You can not only find the latest financial statements of the company, but also you can find the most recent quarterly earnings release statements along with management commentaries. A lot of companies also record their earnings presentation and upload it on their website. So if you get a chance to look at the earnings presentation, please do look at it. For a company which is a private company or not listed company, you will not get the financial statements from the company's website, but you can easily get those statements by paying a small fee. There are several service providers who provide a service where you can pay a small fee like 200 rupees or 500 rupees and get those financial statements. Now, once you get the financial statements, I would request you to thoroughly study those financial statements. What you could do is you could do a thorough financial ratio analysis on the P&L and balance sheet. You can look at all the ratios, including the liquidity ratio, your profitability ratio, your turnover ratios. By doing this will help you a lot in understanding what is the current financial situation of the company, and you can always use this information when you are having a discussion in the interview. Also, doing this will give you enough understanding of the company so that you can frame a couple of very good questions that you can ask at the end of the interview. The third step would be, most of the companies will ask you to fill up a questionnaire or submit a project or a case study. The objective of this case study is not to judge you based on the final answer. Most likely, the objective of the case study is to understand the thought process behind the answers that you give, those logical or not. So even if the answers are wrong per se, but if you go about in a logical fashion, then you should be good. Some examples of the case study could be, they could ask you to forecast the revenues for the next 3 years. They might give you historical information and a lot of assumptions. They can also give you some raw data and ask you to prepare a management report using that raw data in Excel. Another example could be that they could give you some situation and then ask you to present 3 or 4 slides on that. Some people do not take the questionnaire and the case study very seriously. They do answer the questions and they do submit the case study, but they do not spend enough time and effort on it. I would highly recommend you that you give the questionnaire and the case study a lot of time and your thought process. Tip would be, during the interview process, obviously you have to prepare for the common interview questions. In addition, you can prepare for a list of 10 to 15 commonly asked questions in FP&A interviews. I would put a link of the most common questions asked in FP&A interviews in the description below. My suggestion would be, during this interview or conversation, you should always try to link your past experience to the current job description. If you are able to do that successfully using good stories from your past experience, then you should be good. And finally, the fifth tip would be always have in your back pocket 2 or 3 questions ready that you can ask the interviewer at the end of the interview. And you will obviously have some good questions to ask on the basis of the research that you did on the financial statements. So if there is something that doesn't make sense to you logically, this is the time that you can ask a question. And also this would be a good opportunity to communicate the research and the efforts you have put behind for this interview. So those were my top 5 tips for giving an FP&A interview. To recap, number 1, understand the business of the company very thoroughly, understand the revenue models, how company makes money. Number 2, download the financial statements of the company and do a thorough research on them. Number 3 would be to spend enough time and effort in replying to the questionnaire when you are having the interview discussion. Bring up situations, try to link your past experience with the required job description using a good story. And finally, have some good questions to ask. Please do like this video and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. If you are looking to start your career into FP&A, then be sure to subscribe this channel and keep tuning in for more videos like these.